10,000 Gecs. If you've heard 100 Gecs and you loved 1,000 Gecs, you're gonna love 10,000 Gecs, my friend. This was a wonderful album. This album packs everything that I loved about the previous album and amplifies it, playing into some new genre directions, allowing us to hear Laura Les's voice without auto-tune in a few songs, which, while I love their sound with it, instead adds an extra layer of sonic depth in my opinion. Many music analysts have mentioned that their style, reminding them of Adam and his package, MC Chris, E65, etc. They definitely have those elements in their sound, but I think that my partner put it best when she said this is like the late 90s to 2010s version of what Vaporwave did with the kind of late 80s, early 90s sound. Because like Vaporwave took city pop 80s bands and some sounds and aesthetics of the early 90s to create something that was new and had something more interesting to say about what music and capitalism and, etc. But 100 Gecs here has essentially made brilliant satire of all of these things. The E65 sound of like European pop music, screamo metal, rap, and the whole scene core phase of music, made it arguably much more interesting sound altogether. The elements are reminiscent of, this album's got like little songs that are like, God, there's one that sounds like Limp Bizkit, like Billy Knows Jamie. Was a really good track, and that kind of has that sort of like rapcore metal thing going on. If it's not weird to say, there's like insane clown posse vibes in like the most wanted person in the United States. While these sounds don't really click with me at this point in my life, it's fucking brilliant what they've done with it, and I like what they've done with it a whole lot more. These movements that we went through when we were younger, if you're of the like older or younger millennial kind of group, like it's weird seeing these repurposed in such an amazing way, and God, I love what they do. A friend showed me that video once, that was my first, their first album, what was it? It was like Money Machine. A friend of mine showed me that. That's how I found out about hyperpop in general, was 100 Gecs video for that. A friend showed me that video a long time ago saying, who the hell do these think they are? Who the hell do these guys think they are? These fucking, but like, I was instantly fucking loving it. I saw the lashback of people all over the internet picking it apart, and I knew the discourse would completely blow over and become love for the group, as most of it did. I got what was happening in those who didn't. Many of them would come around. I've seen many who were around, I've been around long enough to know how these trends go, okay? And I knew that there was something magical in this duo's sound, and it was important. I'll get back to the new album, though. The point is, I love this album's general flow from back to front. My personal favorite track is Billy Knows Jamie. With only audio, it captures the feeling of being brutally murdered in a really fucking awesome way. Seemingly blowing out the limiter with drums and metal screaming makes me want to punch someone in a crowd, it does. Really good track. As we know from earlier released singles, we also have Doritos and Fritos, a song that hasn't escaped being stuck in my head since its release, wherein a sick bass line carries what is essentially the intro to the game Crazy Bus, through a non-stop supersonic kick in the ass. There's a ska/polka adjacent song about a horrid toothache with an intro and bridge resembling Malt Shop era love songs. A lovely little tune about a frog in your house who captivates the attention of a party. I swear I've been to this sort of situation at a party. I think a lot of people have. Places where nothing happens PNG. The intro track having the hilariously fantastic title of Dumbest Girl Alive, leading into another high-energy track afterward. Like, I can't say enough about how this album flows perfectly in its track order. So I don't see that from artists much anymore, and as someone who loves hearing a whole album through more often than not, this counts for quite a bit in my opinion. One other thing that I wish to point out is that I have tried to listen to other hyperpop artists I've seen appearing around the internet as they do. So far, unfortunately, the ones that I've heard have only seemed to... They're trying to recreate Money Machine from Gecs' first album and do that several times and call it a track list. Whether or not they are just completely missing the mark or recreating that kind of sound, this also does create the issue of redundancy. It gets old listening to the same exact energy from the same exact track over and over again, and so I think that's what's so special to me about Gecs' catalog so far, is that even so in their early music creation under this project, they still have such a diverse sound, and it's the same with this album. There's a variation in the tracks that keeps everything that they do interesting. This is much like I've mentioned with Vaporwave, a collective sound of different genres repurposed into something new, I think that's what a lot of people miss when they're trying to emulate that sound. It doesn't go on too long, it didn't have any real dips in intrigue and in any of the tracks. It's everything I hoped it would be based on the first album and the singles that dropped earlier, and it's a 10 out of 10. I'll be listening to this a lot. Go check out 10,000 Gecs. That's my review. Jeff Gerstmann loves the new album on a spiritual level. He should. I'm glad that he does. He's right about that. It's fucking amazing.